Okay, I've just scoffed down a few sausage rolls.
Mum's homemade sausage rolls.
Yeah, Mum was going to be on the couch tonight, but she's got that man flu that I caught apparently last week. So, yeah, she's been in bed most of the day, haven't you, unfortunately? But anyway, we've got a show to put on, so show must go on.
All right, so tonight's topics, you'll get the usual stock update, the gold and the relic of the week. The Mindlab competition ended on Sunday and we have a winner to announce.
We have Phil Dorr.
Yeah, Phil Dorr.
Phil Dorr. Yeah, apparently Minelab were telling me that he's really excited. Yeah, and he said, I don't care whether I don't find gold, I just want to experience the W Outback. So, yeah, it's going to be...
Sounds like a good participant.
It does. So he's got no expectations.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah.
And then we've got a new Mindlab sale to talk through.
Oh, yeah, that's been going exceptionally well.
Yes, it has. And then you're going to talk on...
Detector modifications. Yeah, look, have I got something there?
No, I thought I had the sausage roll on my face.
I thought I had sauce on my face. Yeah. So, talking about detector modifications, that's my opinion, but someone's probably going to say I'm wrong, but anyway.
And then our weekly Q&As at the end.
That's it, yep. Okay.
So the prizes for tonight, what have you decided on?
I reckon we'll give away 2 of the snake bite kits.
Ooh, they're a handy one.
They're nearly $27, but a bit of gear in there, and you just never know.
Yeah, good first aid kit to have in your car.
I always got to laugh when they talk about the snake bite kits. They tell you if you get bit by a snake, be calm. You can sit there and be calm. Yeah, I don't think I would be, but anyway.
Because Australia has the world's deadliest snakes, doesn't it? Or a high percentage.
Yeah, it does. Like in WA, you get little snakes, but they're highly venomous and quite dangerous. So I don't think it's a little baby one. And yeah.
So all you've got to do tonight is comment if you've been to Western Australia prospecting before.
That was last week's, wasn't it?
Was it?
I think it was.
Okay, let's
just comment.
Just comment anything.
Comment. We're easy.
I'm trying to think on the spot.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So stock updates.
Oh, gee, we've had CC picks. Another batch come in.
Yeah.
I unpacked.
So, you unpacked them?
I've unpacked them. I just haven't put them out onto the floor yet.
Yep. So they might not be in the system online yet, but tomorrow they should all be up there.
They should be. Dolly's Pots. We've got how many? We've got about 3 different types now in the shop. So we've got a cheap, medium, and a heavy duty quality one. So all got a purpose, and but they're out the back. They're not on the floor yet. Look, we got smashed today, didn't we?
We did.
You know,
this sale's been
really the last 4-5 days. It's just we're just getting smashed. Which is good because it is my favourite machine, the 6000. So, but I've said that all along. You know, I really like the 6000. John Tully maps.
Yeah.
We've got a big box of them come in with, look, and there's 3 main maps. We sell the John Tully, Steve Barham, and the Signal maps.
Yeah. Doug Stone.
And Doug Stone, bet not forget Dougie's. He's been around a long time. But they've all got little bits of information different in each map. Yeah. And it, like $15, you know, Doug's maps, like, that's only, 0.15 of a gram. It's nothing. If it's
it's worth getting the map by multiple authors, even if it's in the same area.
Yeah. Oh, well, I reckon it is, but yeah.
And then we're waiting on some more stock to come in as well from a few suppliers. We put the order in, just waiting for it to arrive in the store.
Yeah. And arrived too. We got a heap of Minelab accessories in, but Yeah, the wall's still got a few gaps on it, but yeah, we're still waiting for a few things. But yeah,
batteries included.
Yeah, batteries. We're still waiting for 6,000 batteries. Yeah, we can't get Nugget Finder coils or Coiltech coils to do with the 6s.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that will happen.
Yes,
that will happen.
So stock that's still due to come in is Signal Maps, Rose, Double D, Coiltech, and Nugget Finder.
Yep, that's it. Oh, the
gold price.
Yeah, last week I think it was about 166 a gram. Yep. You took this price, only probably
at 7 o'clock on the dot, and as I was taking it, I think it jumped up 10-20 cents as I refreshed the page, and it kept moving. So
the reason I like it, last week it was 166. That was Tuesday. Wednesday I sold some gold and it was down to 161.80, I think it was. It took a bit of a dive, and that was my gut feeling it was going to come down. But yeah, I'd sort of booked in to sell a bit, so I sort of had to. But they reckon that the price was down because the Chinese had just gone off buying gold for some festival or something overseas. Yeah. So they weren't buying large lots. But what has pushed the price up, I think, I'm not a financial advisor, but what I think has pushed the price up today was apparently all the meetings that they were having overseas to try and get these ceasefire wars under control. Apparently it's just gone out the window and it's all back on again. And yeah, and you've got I think it's Poland and India fighting. Yeah,
so there's a bit of insecurity around,
and there's a bit of fear, so that's pushed the price up. So but it's like a yo-yo, it's just
up and down. So if you've got any questions, chuck them in the comments and we'll do Q&A at the end today.
Yep.
So been a bit of a busy week amongst everything, hasn't it?
Yeah. Look, we've sort of got the stuff ready to pack for Western Australia because we leave next Monday. Yeah. Our first stop is we've got the Mindlab Global Conference, and that's where all the dealers from around the world come across to Adelaide, and we have a meeting, just the way that Mindlab's heading over the coming years. Yeah. So we've got that Tuesday night starts, so Wednesday, Thursday, finishes Friday morning, and then basically we're jumping in the vehicles and then just heading straight to WA. But still got to pack yet, with Mum being sick over there. But anyway, you will get there, or we have to get there. Yeah. And you're having a few issues with your car. But
yes, that's another story.
That is.
So the Mindlab conference, is that an annual event?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, generally an annual event. So each year they'll have a conference somewhere, and just tell us the direction that they're heading.
Yep. So hopefully after that meeting, sometime after, we can provide everyone with an update on any little bits and pieces that they can offer.
That we're allowed to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. But packing for WA like this year is really tough because when we've done an all-inclusive tour, that's where everything is supplied. We've stayed at places where the food and accommodation's been supplied.
Like miners.
Messes, I suppose you call them. But what is happening, because the gold price is so high, the companies are buying up the caravan parks, the food venues and the accommodation venues, and they're not allowing any public to stay at them type of venues. Yeah. Which means we've had to go back to tents. So when you're taking out 12 people, you need 12 tents, 12 stretchers, 12 air beds, you need generators, you need some way to cook all the food.
Yeah. There's a lot involved.
It's a lot involved, and space is going to be very tight. Yeah. But you'll show what we've bought for the WA trip.
But I think it'll be nice going back to tents because the whole camaraderie of the adventure is there a lot more.
Yeah, because last year, like, we were staying at Lannuri and we were travelling, you know, sometimes an hour up the road, you know, an hour up, an hour back. You know, the customers are losing 2 hours a day where basically you can roll out of bed, out of the tent and start detecting, you know, you're on the spot. And it's, I know, you know, a couple said to me, oh, you know, can we have a fire, you know, but you can't have a fire at the venues where they're staying. So, you know, we'll be able to have a fire and sit around that and, you know, have a bit of a talk. And I can do me talks at night time and, you know, and then we'll set up that screen over there with the projector, if I can find it, and show some movies. But there's a lot of stuff to take. Like, you know, tomorrow I've got to go and buy a 7 kVA generator just to run everything in the camp.
Yeah.
The little Honda 2 is not going to cut it, you know, but yeah. And I've bought the Buetti power banks, anyone that knows what they are. I've bought 3 of them just to, you know, and then there's your showers and your toilets, and there's a lot goes into it.
Lots involved.
Yeah, that's a lot. But anyway.
A couple more days and you'll be on the road.
It will be, yeah.
So one thing that you did buy...
is this food van that's hopefully up on the screen. It's a hot dog van. But, yeah, we actually bought it, and inside there's a cooker, there's 2 deep fries, there's a bain-marie type thing to keep food warm, there's a hot dog thing, there's a fridge, there's a freezer. So
everything you need, really.
Everything. Look, it's a good little van, double wheels, you know.
Is the menu going to be the same as what's on there?
No, yeah, I think it's all different hot dogs and chips and all sorts of things. But anyone who's going to be over there this year, there'll be no hiding that. And no, I'm not going to be selling food and hot dogs.
It'll be delicious home cooked.
It will
meals.
be. Yeah, it will be.
All right, so a few more things that we put out in the newsletter this week was one thing we touched on earlier tonight, the Mindlab sale that's running at the moment.
Yeah, well, that's from the 1st of May. It come out. If you buy a GPX 6000 or GPZ 7000 or the bundle, it's $1,000 off. And that's instant. So when you come into the store, you only pay, the
1,000 less.
1,000 less.
Yeah.
And I had a customer today and he said, oh, look, $1,000 is a lot of money, and it is.
And this is the biggest sale they've ever done on the 6s and the 7s.
Yeah. You know, I know they did go up $1,000, but then so did everything else around the world go up. And, they just reduced the price. And, gee, we've sold a lot of machines. I won't say how many, but we've sold a lot. And I said even before this sale that the GPX 6000 is my favourite machine, but it's also on the 7000. I think we've sold a few 7s, but more 6s, and
got some more stock hopefully coming in tomorrow of the 6s, and then some more again later in the week.
Yeah, we're going to need to. We're going to need to. But yeah, great machine. There'll be people out there that probably don't like it, but I reckon it's a terrific machine. Yeah,
good all-rounder for everyone too.
And so light. Like you can swing it all day, every day. It's just so light.
Yeah, turn it on, easy to go.
Easy to go, easy to use. Okay.
Another thing with these was they are limited stock as well, we've been told.
Minelab has told us that it is limited. People might think, oh yeah, they've got lots of them. Look at the 4500s that, we were saying then, if you want one, get in quick, because once they're gone, they're gone. Yeah. And we don't know
how many
how many or what's involved.
Yeah.
So yeah,
we can only pass on the information that's been given to us. And
that's us. Yeah. Okay.
So next up, we had Sue come in again into the shop. So for anyone who remembers, Sue came into our shop last year. He was panning in Creswick, and he found a good, I can't remember, it was 2 gram nugget?
2 gram,
Yeah.
somewhere around there.
So he come in the shop again, and he's found this rock, which appears to be a fossil.
Yeah, it's a bit of slate, and it's definitely a fossil. Yeah, but it was found on a mullick heap around the Bendigo area.
Yeah. And does that mean it's come out from deep?
It's come out deep somewhere, or yeah. Look, it might have only come out 10, 20 foot down, but being the last bit on the mullick heap, it should have come down a lot deeper.
Yeah.
But interesting, wasn't it? It was different.
We'd be interested to hear your thoughts as well, what you think it could be.
Yeah, I reckon it looked better actually in person than that photo.
Yeah, it doesn't quite do it justice.
It doesn't. But yeah, he was wrapped, but yeah, it was different.
Yeah. Tip of the week. So one of our customers sent this one in to us. They said, spray a bit of Mr. Sheen on your skid plate to help it glide more smoothly across the ground.
Yeah.
You heard of this before?
I actually have, yeah. Or a silicone spray or something that glides across, because it just makes that plastic, I suppose, a lot, smoother.
And I guess the smoother it goes, the less sore your arm, less resistance.
I suppose you've got to be careful what you do spray around the coil area, because you don't want it to damage the top side of the coil. Might pay, if you're going to do that, just take it off and spray it off the machine and then put it on.
That way it's not getting under the skid plate.
Yeah, true. Yeah, interesting. Okay. The Golden Relics Tours.
So the training days that we have, we've got 1 spot left this Friday. That was as I wrote these notes, and they will resume again in September.
Yeah,
so
okay.
First Friday in September they will resume.
5th of September, I see.
Sorry, I wrote that wrong. They've all finished, then they continue in September. And we've got 1 spot left for the tours.
Okay.
And that's this Friday.
Oh, the tours. Yep. Okay. Yep. Yeah, it's hard. Like, I remember early days we were trying to do tours here back in Victoria, and over winter months it's too damn hard. People are coming from Sydney and Melbourne and Adelaide to do the tours, and then they get here and it's a terrible day weather-wise, and you've got to cancel, and they've come all that distance. So that's why we don't do any tours.
And there's more risk in the winter as well.
Oh yeah, you've got high winds, you've got lightning, bogging, it's a lot.
It's just a bit more miserable if it's wet and rainy and the machines are playing up and one thing though, the boot camps, we weren't organised enough to get those out this week, so they'll be getting released next week. So they'll go in the newsletter and we'll talk about them in the live as well. Yeah, the boot camps are where we do a 2, 3 and 5 day events in different areas. Yeah. I think we've got the areas picked out, haven't we? Where we're doing them, but just haven't released them yet. Yeah. And they're very popular. Yeah, very popular. Now for the Western Australia tours, so the all-inclusive tours, the first one's at Kalgoorlie with 1 spot left. The second one is at Kalgoorlie with 6 spots left. Then the Leinster tour, we've got 1 spot left, and then the second Leinster, we've got 3 spots left. Yeah, we could have filled the first one, but there was 2 people. Yeah, 1 spot. Yeah, the bus only holds 12 people, so that's why we cap it at 12 people. Yeah. And then as for the tag-alongs, these are each in a different location. So Kalgoorlie, 4 spots left. Murrin, 1 spot left. Walloona sold out, and Meekatharra 1 spot left. Okay, yep. That will fill up. Yes. Not much time left, but yeah. All right, so the QR code should be on screen at the moment, so you can join the newsletter here if you want to be first to know about the boot camps we launch next week, or if you've got a photo to share as well, you can enter in our monthly competition.
Yeah. Or any new products that are coming out.
Yep.
Yep.
Gold of the week.
Gold of the week, right. You're going to use your...
Yeah, so last week we got a comment saying that it'd be good if the camera was a bit closer so you guys can see a bit more in detail about exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So we'll have some photos up on the screen now of this Sandstone Nugget.
Yeah. So look, that's a bit of sandstone. Now, it was a hole someone had dug, and I jumped into the hole and I went onto the side of the hole and I got a little bit of a noise. That was with a 2300.
Yeah.
So I dug it out and it was a little bit of gold in this sandstone. And I grabbed all the rock that looked like this rock and I brought it home and I crushed it, and it was going through, this is hard to believe, but it was going 3 grams to the kilo of rock.
Gosh.
Sandstone, look, it's not heavy.
Yeah.
Look, that's probably a kilo maybe there.
But
so
3 grams just in
there's
that.
3 grams in there. And there's a little band of sort of an iron stony quartz stuff, and that's what the gold's in.
Wow.
I don't know if the guys can see on that photo on the left-hand side, that's that little ironstone band.
Yeah. Now we're gonna try something new here as well. So if we get the iPhone camera.
Mum knows how to operate it.
Virtual camera.
iPhone camera TK.
Working. Right?
It's not coming up, is it?
Not coming up.
TK's iPhone. Oh, hang on.
Oh yeah. This is something new we're trying.
Yes.
So
Let us know if you like it. Okay, that's working. So do you want to point at the ironstone part?
that little dark line that you can see that runs along there, that's what's got the gold in it. I don't know if we can zoom in or not.
Just not.
Yeah, it's that little black line there. But what I did when I got the gold in that bit of rock, I picked up all the same rocks. I picked up all the same rocks that were that sort of colour.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think I helped you, didn't I?
I think you did. Yeah, we've got another lot of rocks there we picked up last year.
Yeah.
But we haven't had time to crush it yet.
We had some trouble finding the place again though, didn't
We did. So yeah, that's, but you can see that rock, it's different layers, and that gold is probably broken out of that reef system and it's just settled on that particular layer. But yeah, it's incredible actually. Yeah, very incredible.
Then we had another second gold of the week, didn't we? It was a bit of a carryover from what we spoke about last
The
week.
nugget that we showed last week, this is his little brother, I suppose. It's 89 grams.
Yeah.
Can we try that again, that TK camera? Say when it's working. Working, yeah. So look, that's the nugget there. It's got a lot of character too. It's got a bit of ironstone on it, or quite a bit, but just a very water-worn nugget. And I can tell you where this one was found. It was found up around Denali, but it was found 20 years ago. So, yeah, but
Still a nice piece.
it is a nice piece. Yeah. I was gonna. Yeah, you know, last week I was talking about weights.
Yeah.
I had a good customer come into the shop today and he gave me, a little bag of weights.
Aww.
Yeah, so yeah, no,
Do
it
you
was
think
good.
they'll fit in any of your existing ones or?
Some will, yeah. There's one in there, you know how I said the cup weights and there's always missing the centre one, the little one? He pointed out one. He said, I don't know what it is. And I said, I know exactly what it is. It's the centre weight to the cup weight in there.
Oh, it's perfect. Now you have a full set.
Oh, well, it might not fit, but yeah. Anyway, we'll make it fit. Yeah.
And the relic of the week.
The relics of the week I couldn't hold up because they're probably about 1.5 meters long. That's them on screen at the moment. They've come out of a mine site, or a friend who's got a mine that's it's a registered mine site, but he found these down about 20 feet down in the old river wash system. But down there's tunnels. You can see tunnels in the wall, and and because he's got an excavator and he's dug them out, and he screens them before it goes through his big trommel. But yeah, a lot of things I know, but there's always something that stumps me, and this is something. When I first saw them, I thought they might have been a bit of the old windlass. They had timber, and they had a steel handle on the side to wind up, the buckets of gravel and that. Yeah. But I don't know what they are.
If there were tunnels in the ground, could they have been part of the infrastructure for that?
It had to be.
Yeah.
You're not going to shape them like that. Like there's, on the end of them, there's a little groove. The one on the right-hand side has broken away a little bit, but the one on the left-hand side, there's a groove down each end, but they've also cut that other part out, and that's on each end. The one on the left is broken away up the other side, but I suppose, when you're 180 years old, some things are going to fall apart, and they've done well to remain. But if anyone knows what they are, just let me know, please. Just
put it in the comments.
Yeah, put it in the comments.
We'll see if there's anything in there at the end of the show.
We will,
Topic of the night.
Detector modifications. Look, I know everybody's trying to get an edge. I suppose they're trying to improve on things. I suppose with modifications, like, I just don't understand why some people will spend, $9,000, $10,000 on a detector and then try and get it modified, trying to get the edge. I don't think it's the detector's fault. I think it's sometimes the operator's fault. They can't find gold and they think, I'll get it modified and that will give me the edge over me mate.
Yeah.
Look, many years ago, I got a detector modified. This is probably 20 years ago. It cost me, I can't remember, it was $1,500 or something like that. And it wasn't good on the deeper gold, but it was good on the smaller bits of gold. But there was no advantage I couldn't find. And one day I went to take it out and it wouldn't start up, and it blew up. Yeah, it blew the machine up. And I suppose, I've had a bad experience, I suppose, with modded detectors. I know some people that have had the old military detectors modified and, are successful at it. But, you've got to buy the machine first. Say you get I'll just say a GPX 5000. Well, second hand, you might pick one of them up for a $3,500. Then you spend $2,000, on it, modifying it. And you've got to think down the track. Like in the shop, we won't trade in any detectors that have been modded, because I suppose my worry is I take it in, I go to switch it on and then it doesn't start up, and then I can't send it back to Minelab to get fixed. I've got to send it somewhere else to get fixed, but I'm not, I don't know, yeah.
And the problem with mods is they void the warranty, don't they?
They do, like if you're going to spend $8,000 or $9,000 on a new machine and then get it modded, and something goes wrong, you might as well throw that money away.
Yeah.
You know.
And don't think that Minelab won't be able to tell that it hasn't
Yeah,
been modded.
and they know, because firstly the seal's got to be broken on that machine, and I've heard of cases where there's been modifications done on a detector, they've sent it back to Minelab to get fixed, and Minelab know exactly what has caused it, so your warranty's void.
Yeah.
You know, look, I know, like I said, some people find gold with it, but I think, I know you girls once talked about mindset, and I think it's like a coil. When you find gold with a particular coil, you think it's the best thing out, it's better than your mates and that, you know. But in a lot of cases, it's not the detector's fault, it's the operator. You know, like I'll go out with anyone that's had a machine modded, and yeah, if you say that I've been over that with a modded machine, there's no gold left, I won't come off that patch until I prove them wrong. But that's me. You know, that's
because I guess you're adjusting it, but you might be enhancing it in one area, but you're also decreasing it in another.
Yeah,
and that's if it doesn't break your machine.
Yeah, you might. Yeah, look, I don't understand the electronics, but you might modify a detector that it goes deeper on the bigger gold, but then it's a lot noisier. So you're not going to hear the smaller bits as easy. And I just think at the end of the day, a lot of people are just trying something different to get the edge, you know. But you've just got to be a little bit careful, because like I said, if you're going to spend money on getting that detector modded, it might, you know, you might get I'll just say you might get a 4,000 modded, you know, up. But you could have picked up a 5,000 for the same price.
Do you think it's appealing because it's sort of that quick fix to people, quick fix to have the edge?
Yeah, and they're probably trying to change, you know, like I've seen it all before, you know, people will blame the detector. Oh, I've got a faulty one. The coil's no good. There's no gold here. You know, my mate's detector works better than mine. It's not the detector's fault. It's not the coil's fault. It's the operator.
And I guess if you spent that money, if it's like $1,500, $2,000 to get it modded, if you spent that money on books and research and improving your skills,
training, yep, exactly. You know, like I think a lot of people need training. You know, training and tours, like and you learn different things off different people. You really do. You know. But that's my opinion. Like I said, I know people that have got the old military detectors modded, but they are a really good operator, you know. But I just don't see why,
Especially because there's probably a lot of horror stories that come through our shop of detectors that have broken or warranties that have been voided because of it.
Yeah. I know when the 7000s are out, people were buying these aftermarket coils, and they were chopping the plugs off their coils, their standard coils, and then adapting that plug to the aftermarket coil. But the bloke that was wiring up the plugs, this is in another state, was doing them wrong, and I heard of multiple 7000s blowing up, and of course they're not covered by warranty.
That's a few grand down the drain.
Yeah, they were sending them back to Minelab and saying, oh, it's not working, but they knew exactly what it was. So but look, like I said, that's my opinion. I suppose I had a bad experience and I don't want to go there. And that's why I tell the boys in the shop, if any modded detectors come in, we're not trading them in. You know, and if I see a machine that the seal's been broken, I'm just a little bit cautious. Bit cautious. Okay, What else?
Q&As.
Q&As.
So, Darren, what's the best spot near Lannuri to detect?
Okay. I remember when we were doing Lannuri, and when we do Lannuri, we do free tours, and all that money goes back to the Lannuri bash. But there was a spot just down at Lannuri. Yeah, everyone's going to swamp there, but you go out from Lannuri Caravan Park, you come to the T intersection, and you turn right. You only go up there probably a K, and you hit a crossroad.
Yeah.
And it's on the, how to explain it, 11 o'clock from the crossroad. There's holes right next to the road. It's just in the bush on the common land. Yeah, there's gold there. In fact, I think it was last year I sent a couple there. They're probably watching tonight. And yeah, they found gold. And they thanked me later on. Yeah. I know it's an obvious place right next to the tar road.
You always say this though, it's the most obvious that get overlooked.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got a lot of me gold, as you know, right next to major highways, roads.
24 ounce was right off
off a track.
Yeah.
So people think, the further I drive into the bush, the more I'm going to find. It's not always the case. So that's, one spot at Lannuri.
Okay, someone else will be detecting with their new SDC this weekend. Any tips?
Oh, on the 2300, I tend to run number 4 or 5. I find that if you're running 2, the machine will run smoother, but it tends to not pick up on them smaller bits.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more unstable, but when you go over a small piece, it really is no missing it.
Yeah.
That's probably and the other tip, I suppose, is one everybody knows: go low and slow.
Yeah.
I say to people on the tours, when you're detecting, it's like using a 3-inch paintbrush and you're painting the top of that table. If you zig and zag, you're going to miss gold.
Yeah.
And don't spoon. That's when you're detecting. Keep that coil flat. If you spoon, you're wasting your time.
What about the ground balance on the 23s?
Look, I just regularly hit that green button, that quick track button, and ground balance regularly. And I do that with most machines. Yeah, especially when I get a little target and I'm not sure I'll ground balance near that target.
Yeah. And if you're moving grounds, if it looks a bit different.
Yeah, you can generally hear it in your machine, but for, I suppose, newbies that don't understand that, just regularly hit that.
Yeah.
That
can't do any
ground
harm.
balance.
So.
No, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. To access a creek, can you trespass through a property to gain access, or do you need permission from the owner?
I used to look up on GeoVic to find out whether you could access them creeks or not, because not all creeks you can walk down. This is where it gets tricky. A lot of the creeks, there'll be fences. They used to call it so many chains either side of the creek, so you could walk along that creek. But I believe there was a certain period there where the government sold that creek system back to the landowner. So you've got to do your homework to find out whether you can actually walk down them creeks.
Yeah. So GeoVic will be able to.
Yeah, I haven't looked at GeoVic for, I reckon probably 10 years, because I used to get used to it, and then being a government site, they change it, and then, and as you know, I'm not great on computers. I like the old books and maps, but
And it's probably different creek to creek, state to state.
Yeah, probably different laws, I'd say, too. Yeah. Gee, the questions, the writing's getting smaller and smaller.
That's all right. We're good. Will Minelab still repair the GPX 5000 now that they've ceased production?
Yep, certainly, yep. I believe they've got to keep the parts and that for so many years for repairs, so yeah.
How many years, you reckon?
Oh, I'm not sure on that. Yeah, I could find out, but I better not say how long it is. Because it wasn't that long ago, well, it didn't seem that long ago that they didn't repair some of the older machines, but
Yep.
you know, yeah, but yeah, 45s, 5s, yeah, not a problem for years coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any tricks to get an 18-inch Elite mono to run quiet on a 5000?
I always have trouble when people ask me on the phone, what settings do you use? I've got to have the detector in front of me. I suppose I'd run the audio in quiet. I'd definitely run special. There's one switch on there, I know. What's the other one? There's normal and something else. Look, if you're running normal, it'd be very noisy. It's, yeah, I'd be...
Doing the other one.
Yeah, the other one. I can't remember off the top of my head. Yeah.
Yep.
But look, especially with the 45s and 5s, you ask 200 different people what settings they're using, you'll get 200 different answers.
Yep.
And I say to people, what works for me may not work for you, but try it and see what you think.
Yep.
I remember once I was up at Wedderburn at the Jamboree there, and a bloke come up to me with a 5 and he said, oh, what's your settings you use? And I showed him, and he went out and he come back at lunchtime and he said, oh, it's running beautiful. He said, thanks for that. And I wasn't that far from him, and I could hear him talking to another bloke. And he said, oh, Darren's settings, it's running beautiful. And the bloke looked at it and he said, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. And he changed the settings, and the bloke went back out after lunch, and I saw him coming back, and he said, oh, look, I showed the settings to a bloke, and he said you don't know what you're talking about. And he said, can you put them settings back in for me? Yeah.
I guess with the 45s and the 5s, they're so customizable, so there'd be hundreds of different combinations you could do.
And there's over 200 different combinations on them. Yeah. So, but what works for one person might not work for the other.
Yeah.
But I always say to people, the people that are giving advice, ask how long they've been detecting.
Yeah.
Because I've seen it before where someone's been giving advice and they're only been detecting, 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
And I'll be the first to admit, I certainly don't know it all. I'm still learning, but I think the people that have been only detecting for a few years, it's ego taken over.
Yeah.
But
All right. Any advice on a very small patch found? It was around 4 square meters with 18 small pieces, ranging from 0.1 to 0.5 grams with the 9-inch gold hawk coil. No more signals. Would running my 17-inch coil over this potentially help with finding some deeper pieces?
What detector was it? Gold hawk, yeah. What I found generally running a bigger coil over a patch like that, there might not be a big piece in that particular patch. Mm-hmm. It's probably going to be up closer to the source. If it's in Victoria, it's probably going to be higher up, and it might be a loner. The bigger piece might be out to the side somewhere. Probably the first thing I would do was where you got that little patch of gold is, say you got a lot of pieces in one particular little area, I would sample that ground. Take the dirt and pan it. And if you're getting lots of little bits in it, I'd probably take the top off, take that much off that little area, which I do, and then have it, because there might be more little bits down a bit lower. Yeah. I had a customer come into the shop today, I don't know if you were there, and he found a specimen. It was about that big, but it had all this gold on it. And he said he got a lot of gold within this area, and he said in amongst the white quartz. And he showed me a picture of it, and I said, you're on the reef. And I told him exactly the same thing. I said, dig where you got a lot of pieces, just take that dirt down to the creek, pan it off, and see how much gold is actually in that.
Yeah. And then you do the north-south.
Yeah, because it was a reef, most reefs run north-south.
Yeah.
I told him to either go north or south of it
Yeah.
and see if that reef is exposed again.
Yeah.
But because it was on the side of a hill, I said you need to be working down the hill too.
Yeah.
Because being a reef, bits of gold would have come down that side of the hill.
Yeah.
But I said you might do your head in trying to work out where it's come from.
Oh, it was very exciting for him anyway.
It was. It was a nice
And to
bit.
be right on the source.
Yeah. And he said it's not in a gold-bearing area. So that's very good.
Yeah. Some new ground.
Yeah, new ground.
Okay. Do you think they'll release details about a new detector at the conference?
Do you think there will be a release of details? I know on social media there's a lot of, they get this question asked every week. I know on social media there's lots of rumours. I had a bloke come in and say that he saw a photo of the new detector, and I hunted high and low. I can't find nothing.
Yeah.
So it's just rumours. Look, we won't know until we get there.
Yeah.
Well, they're not going to tell us before we get there, are they?
Yeah.
That's what we go to the conference for. So, yeah, once we get there and sit down and have a talk, that's when we'll find out, you know. I hope there is, but I think a lot of people hope there is, but time will tell.
Do you have your food handlers, Darren, with a laugh?
Yes, I do. Mum has, and you'll be getting a refresher.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not cooking. I can't be out there like helping people and
During
doing
the
the
day,
cooking.
then.
Yeah. Why not? I don't get paid enough. Yeah.
When are the coils for Nugget Finder and Coil Tech going to be back in stock?
Gee, I wish I know. Like, it's really hard at the moment because, you know, people have got, they want coils to go to Western Australia. You know, they want the Nugget Finders and the coil. But even Minelab are having trouble getting the wire. It's not the chip, apparently. It's the wire, and it's some, you know, whiz-bang wire, I suppose, and they can't get it. Yeah. You know, and the other day I was talking to Rowan from Nugget Finder, and he's frustrated, but
It's hard for everyone.
Yeah, and unfortunately, when we're in the shop dealing with the customers, we, you know, sometimes we take the brunt of it, but it's out of our control. Yeah. You know, and that's why. Oh, it was probably about 2 months ago. I got a 17-inch coil for the 6000. I thought while they've come in, I'm grabbing one.
Yeah, because that's a great coil to take over to Western
It
Australia.
is. Yeah. Actually, I saw there was a box come in tonight from Minelab, and I think there's 2 17-inch coils in there, but they might be a back order for a customer. Yeah. Leanne's going, so possibly, So, only to get 2,
If I was to upgrade from a 5000 to a 6000, is there much of a learning curve, and can I use my mono coil on it?
Look, to upgrade from a 5 to a 6, it's... I'll give you a really good example, and this was when the 6s first come out. 3 of us were going over to WA, Dave and Peter, who's trainer helpers. Peter had a 6000, he bought one, I had one, and Dave had his 5000. And he said, I'll get everything you'll get with that 6000 and deeper stuff and smaller stuff, because he was running boosters and he had all these different coils. I said, fair enough. We got over there to a patch that a lot of bits had come off her. I turned on, I swung, and I got like 3 noises on the one swing, right? So I marked them. I called Dave down. I said, Dave, come and have a listen. And he went over it with the 5000. He said, I can't get that one. He said, I can't get that one. He said, shit. He said, you better get me a 6000 sent over, because we were going thirds in the gold. Yeah. And he nearly paid for his machine I think it was about 7 weeks that we were over there detecting for.
Yeah.
But I knew the patches.
Yeah.
So, look, yeah, I say it all the time. The 6 is my favourite machine. I've got all the machines I've got, but the 6 is my favourite machine. They're super light. I'm not getting any younger. They're just so good, you know. This what I say to people. They say, how do they compare against a 2300? Well, they're double the price of a 2300, but they're double the performance of a 2300. And let's face it, you want to come home with something, you know.
Don't want to be walking over the gold.
Yeah, you know, and I've done a lot of testing. People will say, oh, I'm still picking up small bits with the 2300. Yeah, but if you went back over that ground with the 6000 and there is little bits down deeper, you're going to get a lot more.
Yeah. A
lot more. And as far as where I see learning, I'd have to say the 6000's pretty easy to use.
Yeah. I wouldn't say there's much of a learning curve
No.
from the 5 to the 6. It's just making it easier and just a new interface to get used to.
No. It's not so much learning the machine, it's knowing what to look for.
Yeah.
Again, it comes back to the ground.
Yeah.
Can I use my monocoil?
You can't use the monocoil off your 5000 on the 6000.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's completely different. Yeah.
What's the largest piece of gold found on your tours?
That was a specimen. I think it had about 6 ounces of gold in it.
WA?
WA.
Yeah.
Yeah. In Victoria.
Is it the boy?
The boy.
Yeah.
2 ounces, I think it was. And that was found out near Creswick. Yeah.
How old was he again?
15.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember it was near the end of the day and I was walking up to him. It only seems like yesterday. And he had a noise on it like a track, like a walking track, a motorbike track. And I'm walking up to him and he said, I think it's rubbish. And he dug it out of the ground and he said, yeah, it's a bit of rubbish. And he threw it to me. And as soon as it hit my hand, I said, that's not rubbish, that's gold. Because it was all covered in red sort of clay and that, and it looked like a bit of rusty steel.
Yeah.
And yeah, 2 ounces.
Gosh.
Yeah.
What was his reaction like?
He was just gobsmacked. Yeah. He ended up buying a machine later on.
Yeah.
I think his mum bought him one for his 18th birthday.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the biggest. Yeah. But yeah.
Cool. Is the Gold Monster easy to use for a beginner?
It is if you, yeah. This one comes up every week too. The Gold Monster, this is my opinion, is a good machine if you know how to use it properly and know the different the types of ground to pick for that machine.
Yeah.
It's no good putting a Gold Monster up against a 6000 because, you know, they're 7 times dearer.
Yeah.
The 6000 is just going to kill it.
Yeah.
But to start off with, a Gold Monster.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I say, we give people a free day's training on that machine, and that's worth $265. So it's like I always say, you can have the best machine in the world, but unless you know how to use it and what type of ground to look for, you're going to waste a lot of time.
Yeah. All right, well, I think that was all of
That's
our
all.
questions for tonight. So for
Okay.
our 2 prize winners of the snake bite kits.
Okay, which is that there, which they're valued at just $26.95.
Nice.
The 2 winners.
So we got Graydon Allen and Cliff Wiley.
Well done, guys.
Well done.
Yeah.
Hope you don't need it.
Yeah, I
I
hope
guess
they
so.
don't need them. But if you're heading to Western Australia, I've always got one. Yeah. And we carry them around when we're walking around too. And that's one thing that we don't do on our tours. We do not detect on tours. We're there to help the customers find gold.
And if you find a patch of gold, you won't be moved along.
Or you won't be moved on. Yeah. But that's another story. Okay, guys.
Our show next week.
Oh,
We
yeah.
probably should have spoke about this before the live.
Yeah. I don't think there'll be one next week because that's our first night on the Mindlab conference.
Yep, and Sam and I will be on our way to Western Australia.
You hope with your car.
If Sam sorts that all out.
Yeah. So yeah, look, there won't be one next week because we'll be at the Mindlab conference.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably maybe a week after. But yeah, we can't wait to get to WA because that's going to be good. We'll take our cameras and gear.
Yeah.
Won't be on the couch. It might be on the
By
chair.
the campfire.
Yeah. So the time over there will be what? If it's 7:30 here, it'll be 5:30 over there.
Yeah.
But same time back here.
Yeah.
Because then it will be. It might be daylight over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully.
So we'll give an update next week on the following week's live.
Yeah.
Just because we'll all need to be together and whether we've all met up by then.
Yeah. No, it's going to be exciting.
Yeah,
over there.
I'm so excited for it. I'm so excited to film content and
Yeah.
videos, photos, and put in what everyone's found at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be great.
And just showing people that haven't been over there, I suppose, what the country looks like.
And we can give a real behind the scenes on the tours. And
yeah, exactly. No, it'll be fun.
Yeah.
Okay then.
Well, we won't see you next Tuesday. We will
see you the Tuesday after.
maybe.
Maybe.
Thanks for watching.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.